Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to George Croft's American Music Show. We are continuing our interview series from the Kennedy Meadows Music Festival, and we got to sit down with Zach Neal, who was just an awesome guy and put on an awesome show at the festival. Zach was the 2022 Texas Country Music Association Male Artist of the Year, and he's earned 5 consecutive top 40 Texas country singles. And like I said, he just couldn't have been a nicer guy, and it was great to get to sit down with him and kind of get to know him a little bit. So please enjoy this interview with Zach Neal. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Zach Neal at the Kennedy Meadows Music Festival, having a heck of a time. Zach, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing good, George. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Excited.
Man, so what do you have going on? What's the newest stuff going on for Zach Neal these days?
Yeah, so we're on the road a lot. That's road dogs.
Nice, yeah.
And so we got some new music we're working on this fall. And then we've got a pretty full schedule filling in first half of next year already. So
awesome, man.
So just, try to keep gas in the tank.
Yeah, and so this is a lot around, like you said, Texas, Arizona kind of area. Where are you going?
Yeah, Texas. I'm in Texas quite a bit. Texas, Oklahoma. Nashville's actually home.
Nice.
I live in Nashville, but don't really play much in Nashville.
Just travels from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong. Did you win? You won an award in Texas, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
What was that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, in 2022, I think it was. I was fortunate enough to win 2022 Texas Country Music Artist of the Year, Male Artist of the Year, with the Texas Country Music Association.
That's awesome, man.
It was really cool. I mean, it's a real honor, and I'm just grateful that they're playing my music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when you're writing your songs, like, where do you draw who's your songwriting heroes, and like kind of where do you pick your patterns up?
Man, there's so many, and living in Nashville, it's pretty cool. I've gotten to meet a lot of them, and try to steal as much as I can from them, know. But of course, I grew up like a lot of people. Grew up a big George Strait fan, and so Dean Dillon,
nice,
was just he became a fan from all those songs, and so was probably one of my biggest influences writing. But I'm also a big Merle Haggard fan.
Yep,
and of course he wrote a lot of his own stuff, So I don't know. I pull it from a lot of different places.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, I know. Normally on the podcast, this is our first interview, by the way, for the podcast.
Oh, man. Yeah. So if I break it, it's my fault?
Yeah, yeah. But if it goes great, you get the credit.
Okay.
But yeah, we usually dig in on, like, music history. So we'll pick, like I've done episodes on George Jones and, Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and all these guys. And I'm always struck by, like, the web of influence that they all had on each other and where you can kind of see stuff picking up later in the future. And it's to this day. So it's cool to, like, talk songwriters today, and they're still drawing back on those same guys. They really set the standard, and they really, like, especially American music is, to me, there's nothing else like it. I don't think you have that same kind of culture and that same kind of writing community anywhere else, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And it's funny because when I was growing up, when I was a kid, Willie Nelson, I just couldn't get into it,
Yeah.
And then as I got older and I started getting into the writing, and it was like, oh, I didn't know Willie Nelson wrote that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Willie Nelson wrote that. And now I'm one of the biggest Willie Nelson fans. Not just the writing, but just the artistry of Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I just didn't get it, But now you're like, I had no idea he wrote some of these songs that are just like staples.
He wrote
in the American songbook.
Yeah, so we did an episode on Patsy Cline. I haven't done an episode on Willie Nelson yet, but when we did the Patsy Cline episode, let's talk about how he was, in his I think it was in his late 20s when he moved to Nashville, and nobody knew who he was, and he wrote Hello Walls for Fair and Young, and that, like, plucked him out of obscurity. And then right after that, he did Crazy for Patsy Cline. And the way Crazy is written, to me, is like, it's one of the coolest. Like, they almost didn't do it because it wasn't country enough back then. Because he's using jazz chords. He's doing all kinds of just stuff that was not standard at the time. But, I mean, and it just changes the game, And then we're sitting here, 50 years later talking about it.
and it's funny. I mean, I've heard with streaming now, obviously has changed the music world a lot. But you start hearing how streaming, the most streamed songs are actually the older songs, more so than the new songs. And I think that just, I don't want to, go down too far down that trail.
Go as far as you want, dude.
But I think that, maybe the perspectives about the way music was made back then was a lot different than the way it's made now.
Yeah.
And I think those guys they wrote, they didn't really care about, everybody wants to make money, but they wanted to write something that was going to be cool and it would just seem real. And I think that's why it still stands the test of time.
Yeah. It's been interesting to see the culture shift. Because even back then, like I was surprised to figure out guys like Kenny Rogers and George Jones, they barely wrote any of their own stuff. Kenny Rogers didn't write any of his stuff. I mean, there might have been a couple in there, but like he had an entire album that was just the Bee Gees did it for him. Like they wrote the whole thing, they produced the whole thing. And so, which is like, it's still great. They're good albums. I think it's just surprising to look back at how early on the writing culture kind of shifted to where that got farmed out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had some of the core crowd of like Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash and all those guys that really kind of held the line and, didn't just give it up to the writers' rooms immediately. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword, though, right? Because if you get invited to go write for somebody in Nashville now, I think you go, right? I mean, that's...
Well, I mean, songwriting is an occupation in Nashville.
Yeah.
You can... It's getting harder to make a living.
Yeah.
But there's guys who've been very successful that a lot of people don't know their names.
Yep.
But they wrote some of the biggest hits that there's ever been, And it's just, it's interesting. I guess when you can sing like George Jones, you don't need to write your own songs.
Exactly.
I mean, because he just inhabited a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was raw talent. That guy.
Wasn't it? Waylon, I think it was Waylon, said if we could all sound like we wanted to, we'd all sound like George Jones.
Yeah, and then George Jones said that about Roy Orbison. So it was
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's footage of both of them. Like George Jones is talking about that, like everyone wants to sound like Roy, and then Elvis said the same thing. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was, but
I think Elvis did okay sounding like himself.
I think he did just fine. Yeah, I don't think it hurt him at all. Yeah, but yeah, man, no, that's awesome. So what's your writing process like now? Like, do you schedule yourself out, or do you just kind of let it hit you in the random? Like, what's...
So, of course, got the old iPhone, and that goes everywhere. And so if something comes to you, I'll lay down maybe a verse or a line or just a riff or, It's funny. People ask about how do you write songs, and truthfully, I really don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm just, I really don't, because, you can be driving through the middle of Kansas and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, maybe out of boredom, I don't know, you're just like, oh, this sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah. Huh.
And where did that come from? I don't know.
Nobody knows.
And of course, sometimes you do get, a place like this is a great place to get inspired to do stuff. It's so beautiful out here.
Yeah.
So, but I really don't know.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like and I don't delete any of my voice files because I like to keep track now, like how many I've got. I think I'm at like 1,020 now or something, just from the last few years of recording stuff and writing stuff and just trash voice files, but they're fun to keep around.
Well, it's also kind of fun to go back and listen to some of them and go, what was I thinking?
What was this?
Why did I think that was worth putting down,
Yeah. But then it's like we had last night, we were hanging out at the Last Chance Saloon here at Kennedy's, and I was hanging out with Noel Haggard, and I said something offhand, like, I have a friend who's here named Donna, and I was she waved at me, and I just looked at Noel and said, oh, Donna wants to dance, I gotta go. And when I came back, he was like, Donna wants to dance. He's like, there's a song in there. And then we spent the rest of the night just like thinking about it and brooding on that line. Because like sometimes stuff like that hits you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a fun weekend. So where do you go from here? What's your...
So I actually fly back to Nashville, and then I'm actually home for a week.
Nice.
And then I believe we're heading up to Ohio. We head up to Ohio and then Colorado.
Dang.
Yeah. So
man, what do you do? So what's in Colorado? Is it kind of the festival scene, or do you have...
No, we play in a venue out there called the Grizzly Rose, which is like iconic kind of venue, iconic club, and we've played out there many times over the years, and always love getting to go out there and play. It's
awesome.
It's a big room. It's about 3,000 cap room.
Holy cow!
Oh yeah. It's a big room and great sound, and it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's
awesome.
Well,
I mean, you play a bar that holds 30, 40 people, and then playing music. we were talking about this last night. We're like, you play so many gigs going, how did we end up here? You know,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that in a bad way. Just like I'm in Texas a lot. There's a grocery store in Austin, Texas that behind the grocery store, it's a mom and pop grocery store, and they have an outdoor stage. And on Friday night, they'll have 300 people come and listen to music at a grocery store. You know, and so
if it works, it works. You know,
that's it. Yeah.
If the people will show up, let them.
If they'll pay you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man, well that's awesome. So I think it sounds like you're going to be hanging out with us the rest of today. We have lots of good times to have.
Yeah,
today, man.
I'm honestly looking forward to I'm looking forward to doing my set, but then I'm looking forward to hanging out and hearing everybody else play and getting to kind of just enjoy just a really beautiful.
Yeah, you can't beat the scenery around here.
This is gorgeous out here.
Yeah, it's great, man. Well, yeah, man, we're excited to hear you, excited to have you, and thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my new single, To Be Enough, is live wherever you stream your music on Apple and Spotify and YouTube and everywhere. So please go check it out and hit the like button and share it with your friends and kind of do everything you can to let the algorithm know that we're trying over here. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm really proud of the way this song turned out, and I'm really thankful to all the people that helped us pull it off. It was a team effort. So thank you all so much, and I hope you enjoy it.